Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Core Energy Experience. I'm your host, Kurt Bruckmann. I hold my mastery in core energy dynamics. I'm a global certified coach. I write for Brains Magazine, and I am an internationally acclaimed best-selling author. I am joined today with our co-producer and associate director, Fabio. He is awesome. He is the man behind the scenes that puts it all together, and we're very thankful and grateful for him. Today, we're going to talk about core energy dynamics, and we're going to do it in a different way. We're going to break it down into the dynamics of what core energy really is. So to keep it simple in the beginning, we're going to start with what is core. Core is the part of something that is central to its existence or character. So we all get that. It's something that's going to happen and is in part of all of us, and it will start to expand in the understanding. Energy, we move to the energy. Now, the capacity to do work, to cause change, we get that. The force that makes things move is part of energy. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed, as we know. It can only change form from one form to another. It can be converted. So we've been hearing that all the time. We understand core energy. We hear core energy. So we get that. Again, this is part of something that we all share. Every human being shares these understandings of core energy, and we drive from there. So with that going on, we start to talk about the building blocks of the human body. So we break it down in very simplistic forms. And we're going to start with atoms. So at the most fundamental level, the human body is composed of atoms, as we know. And the basic units of matter, this is what atoms are. Then we move into the molecules, which again, we all have. And in the molecules, atoms blend together to form molecules which include macromolecules. So we're getting into a little bit deeper, but let's stay basic because again, these are all something we all have. We all have the understanding. So with the macromolecules, we learn that large complex molecules essentially for life, such as proteins, nucleic acids, like DNA, lipids, fats, and carbohydrates. These are all part of something that are essential for our life. So we start to get into the understanding that we are all very similar. And that is for sure. So in the core energy dynamics, is what Alex and I are doing here, is help to bring out the simplicity of understanding how we operate from our core. And the underlying understanding and the ability to do so properly is to combat stress. Stress is in our lives on a daily basis. And it comes out and shows up in many different forms to each and every one of us. Even though we are all very similar, and as we just heard, through core energy, we all get that. That's all part of us. Through atoms and molecules is all part of us. We get that. So how do we operate going forward with that? So we've found that the core energy dynamics is explicit to the understanding of how we function from within. So we all start from the same place. We all are built the same way, as we just discussed. We deal with two different concentrations of energy, and that is the anabolic, and we'll start there, and the catabolic. So the anabolic is the constructive building, the growth, filling, empowering energy that is stored inside of us to help feed us to expand. Help stimulate dynamic releases, dopamine fills, if you will. Now, the catabolic is the opposite of the two energies that we deal with consistently. The catabolic is draining, destructive energy, the breakdown, the contracting mental and emotional state, We start to doubt ourselves and continue to break. And it takes us into stress, into worry, into fear. Break down large molecules is really what it does, to go back to the atoms and the molecules. Stimulates cortisol dumps, if you will. And we all understand what that means. That means we're draining. And what do we do with that? Why does core energy help with stress? Because the understanding of how we're going to operate ourselves throughout the day is the basic of what the core energy describes. So let's go there. We have 4 concentrations that we all share. Again, this is something that we all share. There's no discrimination here. This is part of what we do as human beings. So we're bringing in the understanding of the core energy through these breakdowns of dynamics. So let's start with the 4 main concentrations. It's leadership, well-being, performance, and transition. All these things we have, and we all operate them differently, but we operate them to be able to put forward what we need best to help us deal with stress, help us deal with anxiety, help us deal with the cortisol dumps, the catabolic energy, when we're striving for the higher energy, that anabolic, that feeling, that, yeah, we got it, let's go. Let's go. We hear that all the time. So let's go with it. So in leadership, we'll break it down one by one for us. Leadership is developing inner thoughts to construct your language within yourself and world around you. Your mind is your power, right? We get this. We speak for ourselves. We formulate our words. No one does that for us. We are not a puppet. We are our own ability to be our leader from within and to take it from without. So in the out world. So behavior and the understanding of yourself leads us into the growth. So leadership is something, again, that we all have, and we all just need to fine tune it. Remember, these are tools that we're putting out there for us. And just to understand this basic tools that we all can use. We're not talking therapy. We're not talking psychiatry or psychology. This is something that we all have available to us. And with the right understanding, we can continue to grow and work with our difficulties in life. Well-being, the state of being comfortable, healthy, happy, in whatever way you desire. And everyone has a different desire for well-being. It could be material. It could be health. It could be different things, riding a bicycle, walking, writing. There's so many different examples of well-being. But that being said, it's all about how we deliver that to ourselves. So we can feel whole. So we feel good, as we mentioned, happy in whatever way that you desire. Loving yourself is peace. This is where we want to go. We want to be able to understand that whatever we're doing in the moment, we're delivering our well-being, and we're delivering 100% of that. And whatever that energy is at the moment, it could be only 50% of the moment that's going on, but we're going to deliver 100% of that 50%. And you know what? That's good enough. So this is where we alleviate the inner critic, and we continue on our thoughts about what serves us to be in well-being. Being yourself is freedom. This is so important. It enables us to continue to have the understanding and the focus and the concentration that, yes, what we're doing is correct. Is it correct for the person on our left or our right, in front of us or behind us? Maybe not. We're not here to judge or compare. We're simply here to understand how our well-being operates for us and how we deliver that to the outside world. And one other thing about well-being, forgiveness is extremely important. Forgiving yourself is your bliss. How beautiful does that sound? That we can find peace in the availability and the freedom to talk about who we are, being who we are, but also to forgive ourselves. Because one of the issues that we all deal with is the inner critic, and the inner critic is harsh. Even though what we're doing in the moment, for our well-being is serving us, the inner critic will come in there and go, have you thought about this? Well, that is a bit of a distraction. And we're going to get into the influencers later, but we'll leave it at that. Let's move on to the performance. Performance, the action or process of carrying out or accomplishing an action, task, or function. So with that being said, we are in the moment working on what is happening, just that. It's not the past, not the future. Our performance happens in the moment. And remember, success is in the moment as well. It's not just a final product. It's something that is a continuum. We're going to touch upon continuum a little bit. Your gift is a thing that you can do best with the least amount of effort when we talk about performance. So with that, we're discussing that, okay, we've tapped into a little intuition. We've tapped into something that we feel is right for us. So with that, then we have to take action. And in the action becomes the performance that we're desiring. We try not to be so goal-oriented. We try to be intention-oriented. That lifts a little bit of heavy off us, and the inner critic can't say, well, the goal was to do such, and you didn't meet that goal. Well, if we put intention in there, we met the intention. We've been able to get to a place where we're satisfied in expressing how our performance is because we're given 100%. Even though we may feel down and out in a particular moment, maybe not accustomed to the subject matter, or just feel sick, physically sick, however that may come. But it's the understanding that we're giving the best we can. And by giving the best we can, that's why you hear us say, give 100%, and 100% of something or everything is good enough. And that's where is essential that we just lay into that and understand that. Screw the inner critic. You see, the inner critic's going to come and say, well, maybe not. Well, we don't need to listen to that because we've already proven by giving our inner energy, our inner strength, our inner energy, our core dynamics, that you know what? We delivered the best we could, and that is good enough. Then we move on from there. Now we're just going to the transition. The transition is change from one state or condition to another, affecting every other. Very interesting, the transition. Most of us shy away from it for many reasons. It's that feeling of, well, I'm comfortable where I am, and you know I'm uncomfortable, but I'm comfortable being uncomfortable. No. It's be uncomfortable getting comfortable. This is part of the transition that is, again, a tool that we all have to understand. And the ability to move along with the transition comes with the understanding of time. What does time do? It changes. It changes for each and every one of us. And thank goodness it does. Even, we'll go through the hard times. When we're going through difficult times, times are convoluted, we can't quite figure it out, what it might mean in the moment. We are in that area where, okay, we're starting to transition into something different. And it's that uncomfortable feeling. As we just mentioned, in the core energy dynamics, and understanding that, being uncomfortable, getting comfortable is the preference. Who wants to be comfortable and then lay in this uncomfortable atmosphere? In other words, we start talking about the rabbit hole. When we start going down, our energy starts to drip. We find that, how do we get out of there? Well, time is going to change. So time is our friend. It's not something that we should back away from. It's something we should embrace because each and every moment is going to shift eventually. The energy is going to change. It may be similar energy moving on. Remember, energy is transformed and it's converted. So it will move on, but it will be different energy. So it's part of our savior. So when we're riding high with our energy and we're going to transition again, because we're always in transition, change is always there. Time does it. What's time do? It moves forward, right? The clock doesn't go backwards. It doesn't stop. It keeps ticking. It keeps moving forward. So instead of trying to force the understanding, well, in my transition, I see it this way. We embrace the availability of the energy that's there for us and take that from within and work it and say, okay, I am open. I'm letting myself be able to create the next area of my life. But it's the transition that is so important for us to embrace and keep working with and make sure that we understand we're not going to stop. It's not on hold. Transition is a motion and energy that is constant. It's a continuum. So time, as we mentioned, is a constant. And therefore, the effects of it are always going to be beneficial because it's growth. And this is what transition is representing overall. We are growing in some fashion, some way, whether we like it or not. But that's judgment. So we want to stay away from that. We want to work into what's available to us in the moment. And that is being in the here and the now of the transition and relating to that. So let's move on to the 6 areas of influence. We've been successful in understanding that we all share and understand we are our own leaders. We perform to the best of our own ability, that we transition in every way possible that is best for us, and that our well-being is a driver. So all 4 are intermingled. This is what we're going to do to help break that down a little bit and show us that we have what we call influences. So the first of the 6 we're going to discuss is physical. So things that allow your body to move and work. We get that, right? We're going to be in action in the physical. That could be mental or it can be in work itself. So with that being said, it's perceived, physical is perceived through the senses. We get that. We all have senses. Being connected to your inner purpose and outer intentions and goals. This is part of the physical. Understanding your potential and taking action. Very important, as we just mentioned. Action is happening in every essence. Our hearing, our taste, our touch, our feel. All the physical aspects of it are in full gear. Now remember, people talk about luck. You know, oh, I'm not so lucky, or maybe I wish I were lucky. Well, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. So we go back to the physical understanding, and that means taking your action. Get on it. Your action is going to drive you to places. Well, we don't judge that. We just let it take us there because we're all encompassing fit to deal with them. We just spoke about the 4 concentrations. We are set. We are glorified to go. So let's embrace the physical. We move on to the mental part of the influence. Carried out by our taking place in the mind. Happiness does not depend on what you think. Mastering distractions to your focus and concentration is a very important part of the mental aspect of how we exist and how we want to operate within and take it to the world without. In the out world is very important, but it starts from within. All of this, back to the core, is all core. You see? So we don't need any other help than what we can deliver to ourselves. So what we're doing here is breaking it down for us so we can find that confidence, find the understanding in our toolbox of experience in life. We share these similar tools, but in different ways. That's the beauty of being different. And that's a glorious thing. So let's move on to the emotional aspect of influence. Emotion, of or relating to your emotions, arousing intense feelings. Ooh, arousing intense feelings. Yeah, right. Yes, we want that. We want to taste it. We want to feel it. We want to hear it. We want to touch it. This is where we find that confidence in saying, screw it. I'm not going to be uncomfortable. I'm gonna go ahead and embrace it and find my comfort through the availability of how we understand how we're going to connect our mental capacity to the physical capacity that we just mentioned, that we move on into the emotional. So as you see, it's all starting to tie in as we break it down. So allow me to go forward. The emotions are also feelings that are not serving you. That's important to understand. That happens a lot. You allow emotional intelligence for knee-jerk reactions. No. And this is how difficult it is dealing with the emotional, as we all know. It sounds sort of simple what we're breaking it down into, but that's the idea. That's the idea of the core energy, the dynamics of it. It is basic, so let's keep rolling it. The pain you carry is the energy you share. So do you want to carry pain and share that with others? Or do you want to carry feelings of uplifting, of feeling good, feeling empowered, so we can help others do the same? Remember, a large part of what we're doing here in this life is not just for ourselves, but we're concentrating on that through the core energy dynamic breakdown, is to help others help themselves. We don't succeed in isolation. Collaboration is it. We all know that, however that might be. We'll get into that a little bit later. Your emotional energy creates vibration frequency. Whoa, right? Isn't that cool? It is so true, because the emotional part of the core, of the energy, is always around. And then we start talking about frequencies. Remember, we discussed we're atoms and we're molecules. So we're more than just the flesh, but we're also more than atoms and molecules. So this is why we break it down into these areas of influence. And the emotional part can be very tricky. All of them can be. Let's be quite frank. It takes time for this, but with the discipline of it and the desire to want to achieve in everything that we're discussing, it is open. It's there for us. And we're going to embrace it, and we're going to keep working with it, because we are successful in the moment. And we're going to reach another area of success that's going to take us into a different transformation of who we are. So having said that, like energy attracts like energy. Isn't that interesting? How is that? Well, as we know, energy cannot be created nor destroyed, only converted, as we discussed. Where does that conversion go to? Well, it might go to a family member. It may go to a friend. It may go to an animal, friend of yours. It may go to how we're operating in the world as it is, getting in a car. Let's go there for a minute. Here we are. We all get the ability, at least in the United States of America, get the ability to get in a car and start driving when we're 16. 16 years old. Now, obviously, we all know we have a co-driver, and we're working on our permit. Permit to take life into our own hands at 17. 17, we're taking our life into our own hands. We're on the road. What are we doing? We're trusting our ability to go out and manage the car. Manage ourselves when traffic comes along, when people might cut us off by accident, or how we respond to lights, or how we respond to speed. But we're all of us are doing something very similar. We're not just trusting our own process, we're trusting each other's process. How is that? That's a beautiful thing. Why can't those metaphors be used in everything we do in life? We're so quick to judge. We're so quick to notify or singularize something that shouldn't be. We are really here just simply, as we've discussed before, to deliver the best that we can for ourselves and therefore deliver it to the world. So we use a driving metaphor to say, hey, look, we trust one another. We know one another. We're out on these roads and we're whizzing by one another, however it might be, managing the traffic, managing everything. And we get along. Isn't that interesting? So we can get along always with one another. But to do so, we must be able to understand how our core energy operates appropriately. So we're going to move on. We have 3 more of the 6 energy or areas of influence. Environmental. Here we go. Environmental. Relating to or arising from a person's surroundings. Oh, yeah, there we go. Wow. Holy cow, that's a whole marble mouth of words, because our surroundings could be so many different things. If you're a musician, you're in a sound studio. If you're an actor, you're on the stage. If you're a student, you're involved in books. If you're working the fields as an intern in any way, and that means the fields of life, getting into a different business, however that may be, we're still, the environment around us really has an impact. So this area is really important. Not to say that they all aren't, because they all are. Just don't want to overstate it, because they all are intermingled. And again, these are part of our tools in our toolbox. And it becomes our toolbox of experience as we grow on in life to different stages. So the environmental, back to it. The surroundings, and we look at the natural world and the impact of human activity on its condition. Oh, yeah, how about that? The animals. We are all, remember, we're animals. Go back to the atoms, go back to the molecules, go back to the macromolecules, the DNA, etc. So that's part of what animals, the natural world, has too. The natural world is a very good indication of how we operate. And gosh, if we take a playbook out of what happens with the animals, most animals will drive in herds. What are they doing? They'll collaborate. There will be some animals that may drift away from the herd, but they'll come back. They're the hunters, or however that may be. Don't want to go too big in there, but you guys get it. Everyone gets this. So with the natural world, isn't it interesting how they're always collaborating? Are there animals in the natural world that are specifically on their own? Yes, but it's a minority. The majority of the natural world and animal kingdom and life is met with collaboration. Why is that? Because in our environments, we don't succeed in isolation. We can try, and sometimes we need to do that to a point, but to really come out fully and understandingly and effectively is through that understanding of collaboration. Emotional. Stand for something or you'll fall for anything. Does that make sense? If we stand for our belief into how we want to drive our emotional core energy, we're able to protect ourselves from any backdoor unexpected action that might happen. Because again, we're prepped. We have it. This is what the core energy is about, being prepped for these outside stressors and things that come into our life. So by being able to understand that stand for something or you'll fall for anything is very empowering, because we can trip ourselves and trick ourselves into not paying attention to the environment that's around us, and perhaps make a wrong turn that makes it far more difficult when it's not. So now let's move into the social. The social aspect of area of influence is seeking or enjoying the companionship of others. Isn't that nice? It is truly. I mean, what's more beautiful and more wonderful than to have someone next to you while you're enjoying an experience? Remember, life is experiences. Everything we do, we don't conjugate them as good or bad. We conjugate them simply as experience, and it's growth. So when we have someone next to us, how beautiful and how wonderful it is to watch them grow, they watch us grow, or we grow together. And that's part of that collaboration we discuss. In the social, the energy you carry is the wisdom you share. You get that, right? You're all in it now. You're understanding more and more how the breakdown is and how it beholdens us and empowers us. It enables us to work forward, to create a good understanding, and to share it. We are here, one of the things we're doing here as animals, as human beings in flesh, is that we're here to help others help themselves. That in turn help us. You guys have all heard this. Again, a lot of what we're discussing is not so new. It's just breaking it down for a more cohesive understanding and letting you realize, hey, you're empowered. You've got this. You've got all these abilities to work through what we're discussing and work with them. So let's move on to the spiritual influence. This is the last of the 6. The spiritual influence is having connection to oneself and something larger. Now, with that, I do want to stop and pause. Alex and I have discussed this and how we deliver certain things, and spirituality is one of them. We're not discussing religion. Now, remember, in our spirituality, we're born with our own spirituality. If we choose to go ahead and go into a religious attitude, whatever that might be for an individual, that's fine. But we're still, or we don't, we still are all born with our own spirit. This is what helps us identify ourselves as who we are as independents. But with the spirituality, there's a lot in it. And spirituality is a wonderful word for sure. It's soulful, as you know, right? Spirituality is very soulful. It brings in purpose. Purpose, there you go. How many times have we fallen out of purpose? Oh shit, what happens then? You know, it's like you're scratching your head. What do I do? Where am I? Who am I? That big who comes in, the inner critic. Oh, the inner critic's all over your ass now. You know, so this is why we use these tools that we have discussed already to combat this, to work with it, to work through it. Again, time's going to change. Energy is going to dissipate and work into a new type of energy. That is automatic. When that happens, well, that we have to learn to deal with as time progresses. But it's going to happen. It's like understanding when we're in the dark. We walk into a room, for example. It's dark. What do? Put the light switch on. Oh, wow, there's light. What do we do when we're outside and we're in the night and there's no moon? You can't see the moon, can't see the stars. It's all cloudy and it's dark. But if we all notice, there's still a little glimmer of lightness. Why? Because the moon and the stars are behind everything else, the clouds and all the interference, right? The interference is only there briefly. The light will come. The darkness will go away. That is also guaranteed. So if we use that as a metaphor and we apply that within ourselves and in our spirituality, we gain confidence, we gain empowerment, we gain the understanding, you know what? Shit's going to be okay. Right now it's not, but you know what? The light's coming. It's already here. It's just a little cloudy. So that's it. So in the spirituality, it's don't let your hope be stolen. And this is a quote by Pope Francis. Do want to bring that out there. I think whether it's Pope Francis or whoever who had said this is very profound. Don't let your hope be stolen. Don't let other people, don't let outside influences, whether it's the environment or social or the mental, the emotional, the physical, all that. The spirituality can help us really put all that together if we believe fully and trust our process in our spirituality. Very important to do so and lean into it. We find out more about ourselves when we lean into the idea of taking risk into putting out what our spirituality means for us so we can go ahead and take action and move forward. So spirituality is a good benchmark too. Again, we don't want to say any one of the 6 stands out. They're all intermingled in some form or another. So you can share in one and apply that to yourself and that will be good enough, or 2 or all of them. It's your choice. Remember, part of the beauty of our life is that we have choice. We are always at choice. And we profess conscious choice. And we'll get there in a little bit. So, and just to sum up real quick, in the influencers, we want to build our success posse. And we talk about our success posse in different ways. It can be in a physical aspect where we share it with or the intimate of our friends or our family or people that have like energy. We talked about that. Like energy attracts like energy. Fact. So if we find that in other people, albeit not easy, we all know finding relationships is not easy, but it's there. So again, it's available for us, like all these other things we've been talking about. So building your success posse is also in our mind, in our body, in our physical, our mental, our emotional, our environmental, our social, and our spiritual. It's all of it. So it's not just building it in relationships, it's building outside relationships, it's building relationship with ourselves, right? That's part of the success posse. And that's where we really find that empowerment. You gain control by giving up control. Whoa, how does that work? Well, the head's exploding now because we tend to confine ourselves and feel comfortable in our atmosphere or whatever that spirituality means to us. Well, if we allow ourselves to step out and hear other people's understanding of spirituality, experience other people's understanding of spirituality, keep ourselves available to different energies that spirituality will bring from different people, i.e., it will be the same basic understanding of that we are functioning from a similar stance, from a similar core. But because we are beautiful people and we all have our own individuality and our own spirit, we are able to continue forward this way. And this is where the collaboration comes in. For all of us, to live together in harmony and peace, respect one another with kindness. So let's move a little forward. I do want to say this. I found these quotes, and one is, a wish is your birthday cake candles. Think about it. We all get over that birthday cake is make a wish, make a wish. We sort of sit back a little bit, or maybe we know the wish right away, or we don't know. So we pontificate a little bit, and next thing we know, we have something in our mind, we put it out there. So we'll leave that alone and just let you have that for a moment. A hope is a lottery ticket, right? So what's the chance of actually winning the lottery? It's not really that drives us, although it's certainly a piece of it. It's the hope. Our ability to rely on the fact that we can hope something may happen for us. And we're hoping for a chance of that anabolic energy, that filling, the constructive energy to occur. So we'll leave you at that too. Now, your dream is your faith in action. That's where we go back to the spirituality and understand that in our faith of our own spirituality, however that is, remember, you define it yourself. In our faith of our own spirituality, we become so empowered that we are able to believe in our faith, trust our process in the action to take it into the transition, which will bring us to our transformation. Oh, yeah. How about that? So we'll ease back on the pedal for a minute. I think everyone's getting it, and we're understanding that this is not so difficult. Core energy dynamics people hear it, and they're like, oh my God, what the hell is that? Well, here you are. How basic is it, right? It's just allowing ourselves a freedom to break it down simplistically. We're so involved in so many complicated things in our lives. All of us, doesn't matter what you do. We feel complicated, and there are lots of reasons for that. So now we're going to go into the 8 core disciplines. Yeah. So we're going to start with awareness. Again, all these core disciplines are separate, but they are part of the whole, like everything we've been describing, the core energy of it. Let's not lose focus on that. Awareness, being of knowledge, aware of who you are and reacting to circumstances in the now, present, right? You hear that all the time. Be present. This is important. The past does not serve us. Why? If we go back to the past, that energy that we're trying to gain from what we were thinking about is gone. It's dissipated. It's not the same energy. It doesn't serve us anymore. It's gone. Now we can reflect, and reflect's great. Because again, we're learning as part of our toolbox of experience. Boom, pop it in there. Take it out and shine it off when we need it. But we don't stay in the past. Similar to the future, projection. Whoa, come on, we all know that. What happens? How many times have you been invited to a party or a gathering or an event, and you're like, shit, I don't want to go to that. That's going to suck. What happens? You come out and say, man, that was great. So it's that the ability to just to stay in the moment and let it work, let it happen. Don't project. It's 9 times out of 10. It's not going to happen. Don't go hang in the past. That's wasted energy again. Again, now we're focusing more about the energy part of it, right? We're discussing core, and the eight disciplines are also core, but it's the energy of, right? So we want to keep exploring all of that. So in the awareness is that making choices in the present is that mindfulness that we're discussing. And that's that, be. And it's so interesting. I started it with my children, close friends. When I write the word be, I think it's the most powerful word, 2-letter word in all of our language. Be. So I write it and I capitalize it right in the middle of a sentence. I don't give a shit. So what I'm doing is trying to help people understand and point out that who you are is who you're going to be. I can't take that from you. I'm not being you. You're not being me. It's that ability to be yourself in the awareness is the most effectual part. Again, if we go in the past, go into the future, there's no servants there. Very little, if any. The now brings in the energy of everything we described and more. The best ability that we can have is our availability. This is, again, the understanding that we are in the moment. We are open to change. Time is going to do that for us. We are open to action. We are open to emotional and all the 6 influences we discussed. And now we're going to apply it through the energy of the disciplines. Acceptance. There's the awareness. Now we move on to the acceptance. Accepting what is and what is past while understanding everything is as it is. Woo! Let's step back for a moment. Accept everything is as it is. So now we're doing away with judgment. Judgment doesn't exist here in the acceptance. Judgment is simply, I'm not big on judgment. I don't want to steer off, but we'll get that to another conversation, not right now. Let's stay with the acceptance. It is empowering. It is energy that's saying, okay, you know what? I got it. I just want to make sure I have it. So in the acceptance, you are being the best you can, and that's good enough. And you always end up right where you're meant to be, right? We discussed that a bit earlier. This is how they're intertwined, right? So we were discussing that in the influencers. Now we're discussing it in the disciplines, in the awareness. Be uncomfortable, getting comfortable. We discussed that also. So we've now discussed the awareness. We moved into the acceptance. Now we're going to go into the validation. Yeah. The validation, the act of affirming a person, their ideas, feelings, actions, and all those things around you. So it's saying, okay, I've made it. I'm aware of it. I have accepted it. I am now stamping. I'm saying, good to go. I am all in. My energy forces, my toolbox of experience and everything is here. I've accepted it. I get it. Now I'm going to move on. And in the validation, we have that it's so interesting because we're accepting worthy things. We're looking at things that are going to confirm to us that we're substantiating the truth. Now, that can be a little tricky because we all see truth in different ways, but the core will let us release and understand by being in the moment, wow, that's the truth. You don't want to screw with that. I mean, you can, but now we're going to try, and I was discussing forcing energy. Oh, no. We've all tried that. That really screws us up. That takes us on a whole other path and screws us up in every way. So we don't want to do that. That's back into the focus of the awareness, the acceptance. Now we're validating. Yeah, man, we get it. Okay, we're ready to go. And this is where we lean into time, because time brings clarity. Why do we say that? as we've been discussing slowly, and we're speeding it up now, it's all coming together. Time is our friend. Time is going to move on. We will matriculate with time, and we will do so with a filling energy if we apply the things that we're discussing here in the core energy dynamics. So let's hang on to that as we move into, once we have the awareness, the acceptance, the validation, woo, we got opportunity now. Ha ha! How about that? That's what we want, right? We all want opportunity. We're available for that, or maybe we're not, but we've sort of been defining that out. So let's go to the opportunity. It's a lovely word, isn't it? A set of circumstances that makes it possible to do something favorable, appropriate, a combination of circumstances creating progress, growth, and advancement. Oh, man, that's a lot right there, right? But if you keep it back to the basic understanding of how we drive ourselves, all of us want to have opportunity. All of us want to apply it with our well-being, to our best of our ability with performance, with the understanding that we're going to be our leaders. We know that. And it's so interesting when we talk in front of groups and whatnot, and that leadership comes up. People are, I'm not. Yes, you are a leader. You're a leader because, again, we spoke about it. You are formulating and speaking your own language. And we lean into neuro-linguistic programming, NLP. We're going to get to that a little bit after this. But let's keep going through the opportunity because it's such a powerful word. If we allow it, right? You want to keep it high energy. You want to be able to see things coming at you and with acceptance. So if you're not willing to be criticized, you're always playing it safe when we have opportunity. So that's that judgment we don't listen to. That's when we don't listen to the outside influencers, the outside forces. We will listen to our own internal influencers. We understand that, okay, I'm taking the opportunity, and I'm willing to change. I'm willing to take criticism. So what? Screw it. Who cares? I'm developing. I'm growing. Opportunities give me the availability. Remember, change equals awareness plus understanding. This is part of the opportunity. When we see the change, and we know it's coming, we're aware of it, we add the understanding, and that's the empowerment of the opportunity, which leads us into conscious choice. Because now with opportunity, there's choice. Ha-ha. So we profess conscious choice in the core energy dynamics, because if it's just choice, we call that sort of a knee-jerk reaction. And we all do those. That's just how it happens. Life's fast. Things happen quickly. So it's knee-jerk. Well, if we are understanding of our core energy and the dynamics of, we can mitigate that knee-jerk reaction immediately, and we use conscious choice. This comes from the awareness of the situation, the acceptance of it, the validation, right? We said, okay, now we're good to go. We created the opportunity, and now we have choice. So we profess conscious choice. Conscious choice is taking risk. That's what we're discussing here. Risk is something that gets people a little turned around and maybe a little upset. Well, in actuality, we're taking risk every day. Back to the animal kingdom. Look at them. They are out there always taking risk in the wild, working with one another or themselves, and then the group. So we learn to go from the me to the we to the us. And that is a beautiful thing. So in the conscious choice, as we continue on, we understand that adjusting to circumstances is not easy, right? So as we just mentioned, it's that conscious choice that will enable us to be empowered to work through them and have the desired outcome. That's what we all are looking for, desired outcome. Very important. Fear is a reaction. Courage is a decision. So with that being said, remember, we can alleviate a lot of the fear because we've already worked with the understanding of the influencers, and now the disciplines are helping us work through it and be able to understand that it may happen, but it's only for moments, and those moments will go away because our conscious choice is saying, okay, fear, come in. You can come in. I know you're coming. Can't stop you. So screw it. Come on in. I'm going to accept you. I'm aware of it. I'm going to accept it. I'm going to validate that you're here. You know what I'm going to do with you then, fear? I'm kicking your ass out. Now, that may take a little bit of time, but again, time's our friend. So fear is simply an alarm clock to let you know, hey, shit's coming. So you're like, okay, instead of forcing it and run away from it or hide from it or try to manage it, no. You let it come, you accept it for what it is, and then you apply your conscious choice to move you out of it. And with that, we start to go into our trusting the process. I love this part. I love it all, to be honest with you. Excuse me, let me take a quick swig of whatever it is in here. Water, the nectar of God. Trusting the process. Oh, yeah, this is great, right? So trusting the process. Faith in yourself. You see how we come back into that? Now we're tapping into the core disciplines, and, spirituality is part of this. But again, it's all of it. So here we are. We're faith in yourself and confidence to follow a specific course of action to desired outcome. Yeah, we just mentioned that a little earlier, didn't we? Because again, it's part of it. But trusting that process is really something that sticks out, because now we're understanding that there is risk, and we have made conscious choice to take that risk, and we're going to trust our process to go through it fearlessly. And yes, everyone, fearlessly. We operate fearlessly. Don't forget that. Everyone's, we all get intimidated by that fear or that anxiety. Yes, we all have it. Not denying any of that. But we can mitigate and do away with anxiety and fear by, again, trusting ourselves, trusting our core, and working from within that. Remember, your mind is your power. And that's a very interesting statement, because, again, if we're not focused on what the mind is telling us, albeit can be many different things, as we've discussed, the inner critic and the disciplines and the influencers, it's not so easy. And again, to circle back, none of this easy. But I promise you this, if you reach in deep into your core and you apply the tools and the functions that we're describing to you in this episode, there's going to be more after this episode, but for right now, we're in here, and we're in the now, right? We're being successful here. All of us. I mean, I'm feeling it with you. And it's a wonderful thing to be able to, trust yourself no matter what. No matter what. Trust your process. And you know what? If it screws up, then that's okay, because that's growth. Remember, our experience are neither good nor bad. It is growth. So we've already found that level of success. You see, because we're beholden now. We're empowered through the energy of trusting our process. Success has no finish line. As we're pointing out, success is in the moment as much as it is at the end. Even more so in the moment. If you don't have success in the moment, how the hell are you going to have success in the end? Right? So simply that. Let me go back to, being mindfulness. We heard that word as we were talking about. Oh my gosh, overthinking is a quicksand of the mind. How about that? So true. Oh gosh, we can all talk about how we've overthought our process, or, come back, circle around and second guess and all that shit. Again, these are natural phenomena, everybody. We're human beings, we're animals. We're atoms and molecules in flesh. And then we're all of what we've been discussing. So we have to keep reminding ourselves that we are all very similar, based accordingly, but we all can go on our own path of trusting our process and working ourselves, through our transitions and life's difficulties. So let's move on to transition, because now we're trusting our process. We've decided to take the risk. Everything's good to go. We're all aligned now. We're fully aware. We're in the conscious state of mind. We're ready for anything, to be honest with you. So this is what the trust in the process does after we've already gone through the awareness, the acceptance, the validation, the opportunity, taking conscious choice, not knee-jerk. Conscious choice leads us into the trusting the process in a deeper sense. And in trusting the process, where does that take us? Into the transition. Now we're all loaded. We are ready to go. Transition, another beautiful word. A change from one state or condition to another, affecting every other area of life. Whoa! How the hell does that happen? Well, if you think about it, and not, again, we don't go too deep. We keep it core. We keep it basic. We keep it from where we drive. We keep it to our energy that drives us. In that understanding of transition, change from one state or condition to another, affecting every other of life, is absolutely correct, because we are now triggering a different look, a different means of where we're going to transform. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Having the ability to trust the process of our transition is extremely empowering. Nothing stays exactly the same. That's why transition's, a beautiful thing. And this is, again, where people get a little upside down and, tend to lean away from it, because it's that, well, it makes me uncomfortable. Again, get uncomfortable getting comfortable, not be comfortable at uncomfortable. So it is that understanding of letting the transition happen. Let the energy come. Let the energy take its path. You're part of the energy. You're part of that pathway. Because remember, you're designing this. It's not just the willfulness of understanding that we have to collaborate with our environment and things around us, albeit nature. I'm big about nature because that's really where we drive our behavior of all of it. Comes through the understanding that our transition is going to develop in ways, well, we're not quite sure, but sure as shit, we're ready for it. And that's the empowering, and that's the exciting part. Wow, transition. I'm in transition. People tend to say, I'm in transition. They drop. The cortisol dump comes in. The catabolic shit comes in. No, I'm in transition. I'm going to grow. I'm here. The anabolic energy is rising. I'm going to rise with it. So I'm going to ride the wave of transition. So in that transition, it's a continuum, right? Time is always matriculating, so it's a continuum. We are in constant motion, and emotions equal energy, simply in motion. Just that, right? Let's say that again. Emotions equal energy in motion. So that is another empowering thing. Let that happen. Don't suppress. Don't deny. Don't try to make it something that it's not. It's that old saying is, telling the truth is much easier to recall than telling something that's not truthful, right? We know that. If we're going to tell a lie, good luck trying to recall that when you're going to repeat it down the road. Now, if you want to, recall an honest statement or an honest action, then that's going to come naturally. So with that being said, in the transition, we're embracing change, and this is our power. We're being, transition is interesting too, because if we're being misunderstood, this is a side effect of growth. Now, I want to slow down there a little bit. I don't want anyone to jump into it or anything further than what it says. Being misunderstood is a side effect of growth. So it's okay to feel like you're alienated. It's okay to feel like you're on the sidelines or in the corner. And, shit, that bothers me. And I have to tell you, as a segue, if I see people like that, I go to them right away. I want to be with the people that seem to feel like they're really not part of it. Well, yeah, they're part of it. And this is part of why we put the core energy out, because we're all part of it. So please, if you feel like you need to be, you think you're in a corner, or you're not capable, or it's just something that you're intimidated by, screw it. Screw it. Let it go and get back into that moment. That's your happiness anyway, because you can see things happening as they are, not as you want them to be or as they were. So the transformation or the transition is extremely important here. And, it's okay to be misunderstood. Because look what's happening in the world today. With all the massive shifts of what's going on in the world of tech and in the world of, oh my gosh, AI, all before. Everything's happening so fast now. And it's the fastest time in modern day man's history, certainly. So it's not so easy. But this is another reason why we bring out the core energy and the dynamics of to help people work through it. And believe me, we're going to. We've been doing it for hundreds of years, thousands of years. Animals have worked through it for centuries and millennials. You know, they're it. So they're always telling us we can do it. Use us as an example because you're like us. You're also an animal too, but you're in a different flesh. And that's okay. So let's move from the transition back to it again. This is 8 core disciplines: awareness, the acceptance, validation, opportunity, conscious choice, trusting the process to our transition. Now we're at the 8th, transformation. So that being said, all the disciplines that we've been discussing, we are now here into something that we're always doing. Not just transition, but we transform. We have different stages of our life that we transform into. It's just a fact. And that's called growth. You know, people like to say, oh, I'm old. What does old mean? What old? You're growing every day. So you're older. However that is. We all become older at every age. You know, old is like our last breath. That's what I think of it. But anyway, we won't go there for now. It's just the understanding that we're transforming into another person, another part of our core, I should say, not another person, another part of our person of our core. Again, we're still part of our own spirituality. And I want to touch on this quickly because we're going to do it in another segment of our episode. But I do want to put this out there. So our spirituality, there's a metaphor I like to use. Our spirituality, we're in the womb. We all are in the womb. We come out of the womb. And then it's like, when we look at a box, a puzzle, it's in the box. What happens when we pull the puzzle out? It breaks apart. What are we doing from there on out? Finding the pieces that bring us to the whole of the puzzle. Get it? I don't have to go on much further. I know you do. That's what we're doing in life. We are constantly putting the pieces of our puzzle back together, and we will. We will before anything else happens, before we leave this life or however that is, but we will always continue to put our pieces of the puzzle together. This is what we're discussing today helps us with, for absolutely. Now, healing is the inner strength of courage. This is part of transformation. So when we're in those down and dirty days, dog days of life, it's like, well, gosh, am I ever going to get out of here? Well, yeah, you are, because transitions come in, we're going to transform into something else. So we lean into the fact that we will heal. We will absolutely heal. Will we heal to the desired outcome? We don't know, but we're going to find out. But at least we're going to heal. And that word right there is empowering, right? We're healing. We're going to heal, and that's part of transformation. Vibration and energy go hand in hand. Being alone without being lonely is called freedom. This also is part of our transformation. We do live alone because our spirituality has given us that. Now, we can get a little deeper there and suggest our spirituality is not only for our independent self, but to connect with those other souls that are like our own spirituality. That, in fact, happens. Absolutely. There will be disconnect for sure, but absolutely we will connect with the other energy that is like energy to us. So that is the understanding of the 8 core disciplines. Now, we're going to go into one more thing, and it's called neuro-linguistic programming. Love this. How language influences thought and behavior, how we speak to ourselves and the world around us, called communication. So let's stop for a minute. How we speak to ourselves first is our power. This is a very important thing because now we're going to shift language to ourselves. However we decide to speak to ourselves and we verbalize that, that's our leadership, right? We get that. So we're going to do that, however that is. But we profess in the core energy dynamics that when we're going to speak to ourselves, we speak kinder to ourselves. In other words, inner critic, right? It's at us all the time. No two ways about that. So instead of saying I can't or I won't or I'm unable, no, screw those words. No. The words are I can, I'm going to try, and I'm able. Because we are all able. It's being available to our ability that's important. And this is where we focus on language. So another metaphor we use quite lightly is if we want to lose 10 pounds in a week, our goal is to lose 10 pounds. Well, I lost 8. Oh, shit. Didn't reach my goal. Well, screw it. If we use shift the language a little bit, goal to intention, my intention is to lose 10 pounds. Well, you know what? It's a win because I lost weight. So that's a win. So you see, that's just an example. And there's many, many of them, but it's re-speaking, re-understanding limited beliefs that are brought down to us from our grandparents, our parents, into our generation, and that's how we're supposed to react or speak to ourselves. No, screw it. Fuck that. Because the bottom line is, as we just mentioned earlier, is that life is so busy, so complicated, more than any other time in modern man. So whatever our grandparents or our parents and parents taught us, that's gone. That is out the window. Yes, there's some. And, some people might get upset with that, but they're limiting beliefs. So this is where we separate ourselves from limiting beliefs to our spirituality, to our individuality. And this is why we lean into that spirituality talk, because that's our individuality. So let's move on with neuro-linguistic programming. It's just so dynamite. Speak kinder and more gentle to ourselves and others. So as we just mentioned, is that when we speak kinder to ourselves, we're going to speak kinder to one another. Whoa, that's fabulous. Because then the judgment from the other person's not there. They're listening to those kinder words. We're so focused sometimes on, okay, well, what's this person going to say about me or the subject, and how am I going to come back about it? No, screw that. It's that understanding of listening to what someone says, but we have to start within ourselves to speak it properly to the outside world. So choose our words appropriately is very important. So let's break down neuro-linguistic programming. Neuro refers to the brain and the body's neurological system that process information and experiences. Oh yeah, baby. A lot in there, right? So but our makeup, we're just fabulous creatures. We really are, when you think about it. Yeah, we're complicated. Yeah, do we make it more complicated? Yes. But you see, what we're doing here is helping us make it less complicated. We're helping ourselves understand that there's stress always in some way, form, or another. I shouldn't say always, but it's out there a lot during any given hour of the day, minute of the day. And how the hell do we deal with that? How do we, stay on track, on path, not get derailed, not let the inner critic take over, not let outside influencers, take us a different direction than we want to be. And to speak kinder words is so important. And it's so easy. You hear this. It's much easier to put on a smile than it is a frown. And it is, because think about it. When you see someone smile, you're like, what are they? Oh, that's great. They're smiling. And we tend to smile. I know it sounds corny and simple, but that's what happens. And if we're frowning, then our body language is different. We come across differently. People shy away from us. It's a bit intimidating, whatever it is. We want to be open. We want to give the availability that we're aware, that we're sensitive to the moments around us, meaning we're sensitive to the other sides, whatever that may be. And we're going to communicate that. Communication is tremendously empowering. And this is what neuro-linguistics programming help us with. How do we speak and are able to work with ourselves internally to deliver the best we can in language to those around us so we can have like energy, so we can share in similar transitions and transformation. Because again, we are all built very much the same. We just get to the final product, whatever that may be, in different ways. And that's a beautiful thing when that happens. That's creativity. There's a lot of collaboration going on there. So let's go to linguistics. Linguistics relates to language and communication, both verbal and nonverbal. We use to organize and convey our thoughts and behavior in our feelings. Okay, so we just touched on that a little bit right now, so we don't need to go into it so deeply, but you guys get it. It's really, all about how we deliver and speak. So the programming aspect of neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, the programming aspect refers to the mental processes and programs that give our thoughts and our behavior, which can be consciously changed or reprogrammed. So if we understand the programming is part of what we're accepting, it's part of acceptance, is part of that validation that we talked about, and we all work on a different sort of strain of programming, albeit we are open to reprogramming as the definition spells it out for us. So that's where we bring in our ability to understand that what's programmed in the now can change and can be reprogrammed. It's not written in stone. We're brought up that way too a lot of times. Those are these limiting beliefs, screw them. No good. Things are changing all the time. You guys know that. And so programming is part of change. I have to program myself to accept what's happening, the awareness, and then move on. But it might have to shift it, reprogram it. Then there's nothing wrong with that. So NLP aims to identify to identify unhelpful patterns. I really love this one, and replace them with more useful and positive ones by altering internal representations. So let me say that again. NLP aims to identify unhelpful patterns, right? Unhelpful patterns, that's the stress we're talking about. Identify that and verbiage and replace them with more useful and positive ones, right? We spoke about that. Higher energy verbiage, higher energy acceptance in ourselves and to the outside world. And then be positive. Positive by altering internal representations. So that's where we spin it from that, okay, I'm challenged. I'm feeling the cortisol dump coming in. I don't want to be catabolic. I want to be anabolic, dopamine fill and whatnot. So again, it's our choice. And this is a big part of, the core is that we are always in transition and we always are going to be available to make a conscious choice just so long as we understand all that what we discussed here. So we are, just to remind everybody before we sign off here, we are all better than we think. And when I was first told that when I was a young boy, I was hung up on it. I didn't quite get through it. And then I started to learn how true it is that, people would say things to me that weren't nice, or I might believe that I'm not good enough, however that might be. But we all go through this. This is why I'm just saying that, I've gone through it. We all have. It's just a fact. So understanding that we're better than we think, we alleviate the pressure of the inner critic saying, well, do this, do that, shouldn't do this, shouldn't do that, etc., to that, you know what? I can, and I will, and I'm going to. And you're going to trust my process. I have my spirituality. I can lean into it. I am whole. I am good. And I challenge people who believe that, that's not really for them, that they believe that they're not quite good enough. Please take an exercise. Go in the mirror. Look at yourself. Say, I am Kurt. I am a good man. I am Kurt. I have a whole spirit. I am Kurt. I will collaborate with my fellow man. I am Kurt. I will find goodness. These are empowering things. You say them into the mirror because what we speak out loud, our body's listening to. So all these things that we put out here is exactly that. Think them, speak them, take action with them, trust your process, know that we're in constant transition, time is our friend, and we're going to go into our transformation into another stage of life. So I want to thank you all for your time and your energy today and your availability to listen to what we have and more understanding what core energy means. So you can practice it more intently yourself. And please, announce it to other people. We appreciate your time and energy coming on today and would appreciate it if you would certainly pass the word on to others. And also on the podcast, please like and subscribe if you will. We appreciate that as well. So again, thank you all for being here. And remember, your mind is your power. Stay empowered.